Hello and welcome back to the Non-League podcast with myself, Lee Simons. And today we have got a very special guest with me. We have got the Ipswich Witches team manager, Ritchie Hawkins. Ritchie, how are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
Hi Lee, thanks for having me.
No worries. No, thank you for coming on and talking to me today. So, how's things with you in lockdown? As it's a difficult time and a strange time in 2020 for you.
Yeah, it's obviously been a real strange year. Sort of first one I can ever remember really without any speedway and out any racing. So yeah, in that sense, it's been I think it's a strange one for everyone. But personally, sort of not being involved in the speedway, I suppose, just give me more chance to concentrate on my little business. I sort of started when I stopped racing, and in that bar April, really, we've kind of been able to work, and still doing 1 day a week in April, but bar that, it was kind of it's still ticked over, and then at the moment it's dropped off a little bit with this second lockdown, but I think things are picking up before Christmas again. So in that sense, it's
So what do you actually do then, Ritchie, for a job?
So we do transport, anything really, but we run like light haulage, vans. So when my last season of racing, actually, I sort of finished and took over from my dad.
Yeah.
Had a little light haulage business. We used to go to Ireland every week, and sort of
when
I was retiring, I was doing the run quite a bit and working with him. But he had to go in, and he went in for a triple heart bypass, but he had five-way heart bypass in the end. So,
oh wow.
In that last season, I was sort of, I'd say trying to race because I weren't very good. He was putting the operation off till the end of the season, so I could look after the business, if it was in the off season when he had it done. So it was kind of So we did that, and then the Irish run finished a few years ago, and then I take everything. I've got newspaper, like TV magazines this morning.
Yeah.
To anything really. We do some house moves. I take a lot of hydraulic equipment about. Anything that will go in a van, I'll take it. I'm actually starting doing Christmas trees next week. So
are you ready?
I've got a little contract delivering Christmas trees around. I did sort of schools and businesses last year, but it's not so many of them obviously open this year. But maybe a bit more residential. But so anything really. Let me answer anything.
Fair enough. It's quite good really, because especially for like yourself with a business going all the way through lockdown, I bet that keeps you busy, especially like in the summertime, because I bet that was a kind of a strange feeling, especially when you've got no rides going ahead, or with Ipswich there's no meets for anyone, is there?
Yeah, part of the reason really I took the manager's job was to stay involved in Speedway, but to keep the mind active and some excitement in life. So to be without it all year would have been really hard. But I think mentally it's kind of been okay because I've been working, and I think mental health is going to be obviously massive through this.
Definitely.
People are really suffering, and for me, it was hard in March, but it was end of March, April.
Yeah.
But once I started to get back to work and going out, just the odd day, the normality, even though it's obviously a lot different. You got to wear a mask and can't necessarily interact with people the same, but actually just being out and being at work, the normality of that was such a relief.
But that's really, that's what you want, isn't it, Richie? That's what you want to do, isn't it? You go back to a normal life and going to work, and you want your sport to come back, especially for yourself, Richie. You've kind of lost 2020, but it's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, with Speedway, it's kind of it's such a shame because as a sport, they did everything right. Really, they worked so hard. once you get behind the scenes a little bit more, you can see what's going on. And actually, this year they did so much to still be prepared to get a season on if they were allowed.
Yeah.
To be ready to go at any opportunity. and how everything was prepared, because obviously the last thing you wanted to do is to get the green light and then nobody be ready to go.
That's,
and then even little things like we got one of the test events awarded to us at Ipswich.
Oh, wow.
Government test events, the British final we were supposed to have at Ipswich.
Yeah.
So Chris worked so hard to get that, and then we were originally it was 3,000 people, so they sold 3,000 tickets.
Oh, brilliant.
Then it changed to 1,000, so they had to refund everyone, and then like a few days before the meeting it was down to no crowds again. So it's kind of, and then obviously it rained anyway. They had to cancel it and move it to Bellevue, but like every single way the sort of like association went, they got sort of kicking the teeth really with it all. So hopefully we can start again next year, and hopefully we keep saying it, but fingers crossed, things will start to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. We just have to wait for Boris on Monday, I think. He's going to say his bits for December, so hopefully it will get back into some kind of a normality for everyone, and then hopefully for you guys to kick on in March, isn't it, for the 2021 season?
I guess I would say a lot of sports is going to be, obviously football's the biggest sport, so
you're
kind of leading. If football start having fans back, then other sports will be able to, I guess. How strange. I mean, you've been allowed to have some events. I know, like there was the under 19 final at Scunthorpe, because it's an amateur. That's amateur meeting, and they could have 500 people there. I guess they had 500-600 people. I think out of the crowd. Won by Archery Kemp actually, but that was allowed, but other things aren't, because obviously it's a professional sport. So it's all a bit
up in the air, isn't it? So for people who listen to this podcast, Richie, can we just go back to where it all started for you, really, and how you actually got into Speedway?
Well, so I mean, I suppose Speedway fans obviously would know my dad and from his racing career, and then maybe not so much, but my mum's brother raced for, and he managed Peterborough the same as my dad. So,
oh wow!
It was on both sides of the family, and like for me, that's all I ever wanted to do. I started racing BMX bikes at 5, because my dad was trying to stop me wanted to going on about racing Speedway. Then I went into I did sort of, as a kid, I did did British final BMX, and then got into then I did motocross because as a teenager. Because Dad would let me do Speedway, and then we did the British Championships and stuff like that. And then when I left school, finished sort of school at 16 and got an apprenticeship. But I said, right, I've got a job now. I want to start racing Speedway, sort of thing. And I rang a guy. To be fair, like he actually passed away last week. He helped so many young Speedway riders, and I rang him up. He was one of my dad's friends, and he actually lent me 3 bikes and said, all right. And then my dad was kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll help you. And then we went from there really. So it was like getting on for 17 when I started racing, but
Okay, so from 17, where did you start your career?
Right, so I went Sheffield, I guess, in the junior team that first year. That was 2000. So we went. They had a training track that used to be open on Saturdays.
Okay, yeah.
So we used to go up there every Saturday, and then after, I progressed really quickly. So I'm talking after the guy told me when I first went there, Neil, who was running at the time, he's like sort of guys you would expect to have a year learning to ride, then a year in like the 3rd division before you sort of look to go professional. So I had 2 months doing practicing. Then I did a month in their junior team. I did 5 meetings, got injured, and I actually got injured riding against Peterborough. I had real bad burns on my legs. I'd have skin grafts, and then it was the winter, but it didn't really heal. But that's another story. What happened there. And then the following So I did five meetings, never won a race, and then got the chance to sign for Swindon in the Premier League, which is like the second division. Then in the following year, so I'd only rode for 3 months, and then managed to then sign for them.
Oh, brilliant!
So then, it was a little bit, it went real quick, but actually, a lot of it, I know, like, I was going quite well for how much I'd rode, but a lot of it was because obviously him with my dad, I know that I sort of opened doors and give you opportunities.
Well, that's what you wasn't, isn't it, with the opportunities? I bet that's quite a good way of having your dad there, really, to open those doors for you. But you want to make a name for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, definitely. That was something I think when I was younger, I struggled to. Maybe struggled to cope with that. Like you don't want to be your dad's son, if you like, or living off him. You want to make your own name for yourself. But
exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. But we went. Well, actually, my dad, when I told him like Swindon had come in for us, and I found out about it, and he didn't tell me about it that they'd come in for us. He sort of kept it from me, and then I caught wind of it, and when he was at work, I rang him up and spoke to him myself.
Yeah.
And then my dad's view was that I'd get sacked after 6 weeks because I wasn't ready.
Right.
And I was like, well, it might be my only ever chance to live my dream.
Exactly.
So we were going to go for it. And then actually the first year went really, really well. It went good.
Yeah, so, good.
Amazing. That just even from that 1 year, I ended up doing 4 years at Swindon at different times. But that 1 year is very special. That was really.
Good. Well, that's what it's all about. It's that special, year for you because, as you were saying, that you could have got sacked in the first 6 weeks, and then what's happened to you?
Yeah, it went. The first year was amazing. Really, I think. I got called up to the British under-21 team, and I think that's been that had probably been around about the time of the year after first sort of riding the speedway bike. So I didn't actually make my debut because on the Thursday night at Swindon I got knocked out.
Oh, right.
I had a crash and got knocked out, so I missed it with concussion.
Oh, blimey.
But to be fair, I think I probably could have rode. So I don't think there weren't that many rules around concussion then, or any if I remember. But I didn't ride on the Sunday, so I missed it. But at the end of that year, I got was in like the Young Great Britain team, and we went to Australia and toured Australia. So that was I went a few weeks after my 8th birthday, so that was a massive eye-opener to the world because I was a few years younger than most people in the team.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite young and naive.
So you go all the way to Australia when you're 18. I bet that's kind of like a shock to the system, really, because you've been scouted for like England, and then you're going all the way over to Australia. So credit for you to going all the way out there.
Yeah, I wanted to do it. It was kind of I'd give up my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Within, I think I did about a year. I sort of finished the year, but at 17 I was earning. I remember my apprenticeship was £75 a week. I used to get in a truck garage. That was 8 till 5. Well, Speedo wasn't mega money, but if I won a race, I got £75
oh, wow.
for winning a race. So at 17, you kind of thinking, no, I think I'll go to Australia and stay here and do this. It seemed a better option. So I give up the apprenticeship, which maybe looking back, I should have got myself a trade. I think it's definitely a sensible thing to do. But definitely our focus was just purely on racing speedway.
Yeah, definitely. So when you come back from Australia, where did you go after that? Were you still with Swindon?
Yeah, I was still at Swindon, but when I was in Australia, I actually, which I like to say, because we were winning the series when I got injured.
Right.
And we ended up losing, so I think that was fine. But I don't think it was. But that was just, I like to say that was the reason. So I broke. I separated my shoulder joint, and being just turned 18 and being Australia, I didn't really look after it enough. It was probably the first proper injury I'd ever had.
Yeah.
Where, like motocross, I used to be a bit crazy. I was like crazy and used to crash a lot, but I never injured anything. You know, I bounced well.
Yeah.
As you do at that age.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And I never really properly looked after it out there. I was more focused on probably partying and girls, and your mind wanders at 18. So
Yes,
different things.
you're right there.
When I got back, I started to rate. I put on quite a bit. I put on weight. I stopped training and didn't start the season prepared really, and then didn't go very well. So I had some time off and actually see the physio, and I learned a massive lesson. Then I never did it again. When you get injured, you have to look after the injury. So it's a tough lesson to learn.
Yeah.
But I certainly learned about that, because my shoulder played up for years on and off after that until it got strong enough. So,
yeah. I bet.
Yeah, got in, and it was tough. I had a couple of tough years then. Really did, with what I know now would have been probably depression or mental health issues, and really struggled with it all. I think at that age it kind of all come a bit too much too soon.
Yeah, is that with the injury itself, and because you couldn't ride at the time?
Yeah, I think after the injury, and I come back because it was so easy. It went so easy. I think to start with, I thought, well, I've just got on a bike, and I've not really had any pressure, and I've gone here. I've done some guest bookings in my first season in the top league, and that was when the top league was really strong.
Yeah.
And I've done all right, and it'd gone so easy. I'd because I was very fit from when I started racing speed. I was really fit, which actually back then speedway riders weren't necessarily the fittest breed, or like they are now. They're super professional then, but in 2000 when I started, they weren't.
No.
And it was I'd gone from motocross, whereas as a teenager when I started doing motocross a bit seriously, I used to come home from school and I had a little gym and I had a workshop but my dad got a little one in shed and stuff, and I used to train. But I wasn't sort of going down messing about with mates, getting in trouble. It was kind of, and then Saturdays and Sundays we were racing, so you were sort of Friday nights to bed early, or so I was kind of, because I was a bit of a chubby kid really, so I needed to be training and getting fitter because I wanted to do well. So and then I think I got out of that. So at 19 trying to race, and it was different, and I had that 18 and 19, and that affected me a bit. I think it was all the pressure, and then sort of my mum and dad, they sort of was at all the meetings, and it's you can see that how much they're putting into it, and if you have a bad meeting, you kind of feel you're letting them down. The fans are on your back, and it's just too much. I couldn't cope with it all, to be honest. And it was a tough couple of years, and then I ended up having my first bad head injury where I fractured my skull and I swallowed my tongue. I was swimming on the track, and that was in 2002. Yeah. And then it took age. I come back from it, but I wasn't. I weren't really fit, and then I said I can't ride anymore. So then I did actually. Then I got banned because I didn't ride. So you got banned for a month.
Oh right.
And I got a job. So in the end, I ended up just getting a job.
Okay.
I got a job and started working, just a bit delivery driving for a company, and then.
So on that stage of your riding, did you think you were, it was finished, or did you think you would carried on?
At the time, I didn't. I kind of, I thought I wanted to come back. I'm sure I would have. Yeah.
So.
I did. As soon as I got the chance to, and I was like, I want to do it. So I ended up coming back and riding for Milton in the third division. So I kind of took a massive step back from where I was 3 years before, where I'd never really done this.
Yeah.
And I signed for Milton. That was, and luckily, then I was still sixth in the end. The top 6 people in under 21 British under 21 riders in the like your averages. I was still sixth in
Wow.
in the ratings for. So I got seeded to the British under 21 final.
Yeah.
Did 5, come back, and so I hadn't done nothing really all winter. I come sort of just working, and then come back and did them few meetings at Milton. So because I'd rising for them, I still got seeded into it, and then went and won the British under 21 final. Which,
All right.
You know, out of sort of, obviously I wasn't fancy to win it, but you know, I really wanted to win it that year. So I was sort of 20 by then, so it's my last year.
Yeah.
And then after then, things went really well for a few years. Really, it kind of like give me a big boost, confidence boost. I was fit again, working. I think start working for a living. I think that do a lot of the boys good. You know, at 19, 20, to go from having to get up and graft.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. like washing your speedo bikes after you've been racing.
Yeah.
And going to the gym and hard work when you have to get up at 7 in the morning and go and graft in the middle
You're right.
when it's pitch black, and you come home and it's pitch black, and
Yeah.
you know it's cold, and like that. You know, so yeah, it was and I carried on working. To be fair, I carried on working, and then it ended up signing actually for Berwick as well. So.
All right.
I was working in the week,
Yeah.
drove up to Berwick every Saturday, raced there, and then drove back down the road Milton every Sunday afternoon.
So was that hard with all the travelling, going backwards and forwards?
I did because I was working as well. I mean, my dad used to still come with me to Berwick, and my mates sometimes come, so to help with the driving. But I think I did because I did some. Ended up captaining British under 21s that year.
Yeah.
We did a few meetings, and then I did the World under 21s, which did a couple of meetings in that.
Yeah.
Which was a disaster in the end. I should have made the world final, but there you go. I had a engine failure, which stopped that, and then it was just I don't know. Because never getting a chance to ride in that world final was something you never get back, because the following year I was sort of 21. I was sort of 6 weeks too old to get in it again the following year, so that was a big disappointment. But by the end of the season I was tired, like really tired, because I was every day going to work in the week and either finishing work early and going racing, and or coming home and going in the workshop and working on my bikes. But like financially it did me really good, because I was earning enough money, and not I wasn't spending any money, because you're either in the workshop or at work or racing.
Certainly, yeah.
And so it kept me out of trouble and kept me. But by the end of the season, I was tired. But sometimes I hear,
I bet you were really tired, especially for all that travelling and working. Yeah, it can have a toll on you. And so from that point in time, where did you go after that?
So. That was. I mean, that year at Milton, though, was probably the most fun I've ever had. So to get to drop back and have that year, we won everything that year. And
Brilliant.
It was an amazing year, brilliant. Like great people, like lovely place. Had so much fun. I think because it was less pressure as well. So it was an amazing place. But at the time, so the guys who I rode for at Swindon, the promoter had sold Swindon and bought Somerset.
Right.
In 2004, the year I won the under 21, so he brought me back to Somerset straight away in 2005.
Wow.
So I then, I couldn't ride in the third division anymore. I went to Somerset in 2005. So, that's how I ended up at Somerset really, and that was a good year. Well, I had a good year. The team didn't go so well, but I carried on working as well. So that Somerset used to race on a Friday, so luckily the guys cut my hours down, let me work Wednesday to Thursday. And, I had a good year. Yeah, another good year. It sort of starting to progress really, and it was going well. And it's a good place.
That's good. But did it take a toll of you, especially again with the driving, or how did it go about for yourself then?
Travelling down there did a bit, because on a Friday night going to Somerset, it used to take sort of all Friday day.
Yeah.
You get home in 3 hours, but it was taking 4 to 5 hours to get there every week, and that just grinded down a bit. I was doing a lot more myself then, because once you get to
exactly.
So yeah, but the following year, I ended up going to Workington, which is even further away. I think obviously Cumbria. So
Yeah, it is.
I think I ended up going there. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was going really well there. And I signed for Swindon as well that year in the top league, like just to do a few meetings,
Yes.
like in the squad sort of thing. So
How is that going back to Swindon, and riding for them again?
yeah, for me that was really good because obviously the first year was brilliant and everyone was raving and happy with us, and then the last 2 years we really struggled and people getting on my back, and it was nice actually to go back there in 2006, even though because I got injured that year real bad, so go back there and do well and was real nice, and I'm glad I got them whatever I did that year, like half a dozen or so meetings for them, and sort of perform a little bit better, and it was very good. But yeah, working. I mean, I could have gone back to Somerset, but I ended up going to Workington because they'd been taken over by the guy from Mildenhall, actually.
Oh, right.
So the guy I worked at Mildenhall went to Workington.
And,
me and him got on really well. He was very good. He was a bit more, a bit stricter with me, which I sort of needed, especially at that age, because I had the tendency to, waver off and, refocus maybe on racing and thinking more about,
other things.
So, Workington was going really well. I was fine, to be fair. Felt like I was doing well, and I'd give up my job then because I sort of got myself in a good position and thought, I was at the stage where I needed to go professional, like give up my job and concentrate on speedway full time. But I had actually had another really serious concussion, so I someone sort of tried to pass me a bike under me and knocked me off, and then I had a serious bleed on the brain.
Oh, blimey.
So that was kind of that was me out for the rest of that year, from going sort of had my first ever top double figure score, so I scored like double figures for Swindon in top league on the Thursday night, and then went to Workington on the Saturday and had that happen. So it was kind of
bit of a kick to the teeth, really, isn't it? Really,
yeah. I just felt like I'd sort of done my best ever. Was going the best I've ever gone, and really going really well, and I felt like everything was sort of falling. I felt fit, like mentally really happy, and life was going good and under control. So
and then bang, that happens, doesn't it?
I mean, at the time I didn't realise how bad that was.
No.
I woke up in hospital that night. Like, I woke up that night.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm alright, I'm going to leave. And they said, no, stay in. So, I mean, I weren't well enough to leave. I think it was just whatever they ejected me with made me feel top of the world.
Yeah, I bet.
And then the next morning, I didn't feel very good, but they come in with, they started to talk about they were going to drill my skull.
Right.
To relieve the pressure, and I was like, nah. I had a lady who drove me up to Workington then.
Yeah.
The lady used to come and drive me sometimes, so I was like, you need to take me home. But that was being silly and young, because I wish I'd have had it drilled now, because I was in my agony, with the swelling on my brain for so long afterwards. I should have had it stayed in, really, but there you go.
So how long were you in hospital for that? For that?
I went home the next day.
Wow.
I didn't want to stay. It's kind of, So then, but I ended up just sleeping. Got home and was just sleeping, really, and just couldn't do anything. Got tired really easy. My speech was really bad. It still slurs a bit now at times, to be honest. But so you kind of had to learn to start speaking properly again, but that took a long time to heal properly. I mean, I went. That was in end of summer, so the following winter when I wanted to start racing again the following season, if you like, I had to go and have brain scans and stuff to show that I was alright, and my brain scans were showing how fine, and I was saying to the doctor, I'm not fine, my head is banging still, and they said, well, you'll just sort of feel better when you feel better, you don't know with your brain sort of thing. But it actually wasn't until a the next year, a whole another year later, where I got to the winter and started doing a bit of work like I'd been doing. I did a little bit in the end of the winter before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is so much easier than it was last year. I feel awake now, and
Yeah.
I think it took a whole another year at least to sort of, wake up, sort of thing. Really. But yeah, it was yeah. So I think that has affected my whole life. I think that concussion, you don't know it at the time, but you look back 10 years later and you sort of think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it does. Of course, it plays on everything, especially with your life now and going forward. You just go with the flow, don't you? Sometimes when you're in in your shoes at the moment, you wanted to just race, don't you?
Yeah, like your sole focus. As soon as you get injured, your sole focus is when can you get back on that bike.
Yeah.
Because that is your passion. You don't race speedway for the money or anything. You race speedway because you love it, and there was no other reason you would do it. It's not like what it's crazy really. Why would you be doing it otherwise? It's because, it's for the buzz and everything that goes with it. It's not you're not the financial rewards are
Exactly.
Not that great. So
and of course,
you get back. Plus, obviously, in speedway, if you get injured, you're not getting paid. You got your insurance, but you're not getting paid. So you want to get back, and you're worrying about everyone else is progressing because they're racing. So if you're injured, you're thinking you're dropping behind everyone else. So there's a lot of. That's why you see so many speedway riders are riding injured or coming back too soon. That happens all the time.
Yeah, as you were saying, it's all about the buzz for riders, isn't it? And of course, you want to entertain your fans and your followers, don't you? Really?
Yeah, you want. Yeah, you've obviously got your sponsors and the club and stuff. But I think you just want to get back racing. That's what you do, and that's what we do. We get back up and get back on the bike. You don't sort of when you don't want to do that. Obviously, it's time to retire. But,
exactly. So, whereabouts did you go after when you kind of recovered from that? Where did you go from there?
Then I ended up went back to Somerset the following year.
Yeah.
Got a good deal, and the guy at Worthington then he'd had 2 years there and went actually to start the club in Birmingham, but I told him how much money I could get to go back to Somerset, and I was they couldn't match the deal nowhere near really. So I went back to Somerset and could have actually gone to Swindon and just gone straight back into the top league full time.
Yeah.
But obviously coming off such a big injury, I kind of thought that opportunity had come again, but it didn't it didn't really ever. So I got to ride in the top league again for Ipswich when I first started there. But other than that, I was kind of it's a tough one because I don't know. I had just some unique problems and I had things just didn't quite fall into place. And I know I bought a new engine that was going really well, which cost a lot of money, and then it just kept going wrong every few meetings and just drained my finances. To be fair, and when you've been injured, I think I lost a couple of good sponsors as well that winter.
Yeah.
So when you get injured, you do lose things like this happen, and it kind of the year was okay. It was good fun, like good people. Like I was the new promoter at Somerset was amazing. He was brilliant. It was like it was brilliant. Yeah, in that sense. But I did okay. I think actually probably didn't feel it at the time. I probably did better than I felt like I was doing at the time to be sort of coming back from such a big injury. Which at the time I didn't really realise it still affected me. But it was. I'd kind of halfway through that year, I thought get myself through it and get ready for the following year and make sure we go really big the following year. It's kind of sort of how my mind was sort of focused on.
Yeah.
And that's.
You just wanted to get those big sponsors back for yourself, don't you? You want to say I'm back and ready to go again, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean for me, I was more. I mean, I was never very good at asking anyone for any money or to sponsor me. I suppose not in my nature. So I was kind of more, I'll work, save this, and I'll make sure everything for next season is going to be spot on. And it would have been. But so the following year, I did they used to have a meeting on the New Year's Day.
Yeah.
In like the New Year's Classic, like one-off meeting in the winter. So I did that, and that went quite well.
Good.
And then I went and did a meeting in Germany, which wasn't. So it was in Kiel, and it was on handball courts.
Right. Okay.
So handball out there. So it was indoors, and it was speedway bikes with road race tyres, and it was just a bit of fun. So we had a German rider riding for Somerset, and he had a deal at the factory, the Java factory where the bikes are made.
Yeah.
So the deal was he would get us this cheap bikes, and the deal of me and another guy will go out and race this meeting while we pick our bikes up. So it'll pay us to go out there.
Yeah.
Out on the track, a bit of fun. I'll have a bit of fun in the winter, a bit of a fun meeting. See our mates. And I mean, practice went really well. I felt quick in practice, thought I was going to win it, but I managed. I didn't even manage a lap in the meeting. Someone ran in the back of me, and then I woke up in hospital in Germany and ended up staying in. I went there for a weekend and ended up staying for a few weeks in hospital, and that was So that was kind of not the greatest one. So.
No. So you come back from Germany, from hospital. Whereabouts did you go after that?
So I was living down in Dorset then. I moved down there, that house down there, but I was bedbound. So
okay.
I broke my ankle in two places, like shattered my femur.
Yeah.
Some ribs, broke both my wrists, and snapped my arm in half. So
oh my God.
I was in a bad way really. So I had internal bleeding. So I've got a monster scar down my leg now where they cut me open.
Yeah.
So like the whole leg from my leg is where I had so I spent I was like stuck in bed over there, and then the international rescue actually come and flew me home. But once I got back here, like they didn't put you in hospital. I was stuck in bed at home.
Yeah.
I sort of got to a stage where I could sort of used to get on the floor.
Yeah.
So one at my good arm, I had one good arm on my elbow, shuffled myself.
Yeah.
To the toilet, and I could. And that was about all. That was so tiring. That was about my only activity of the day for a while until I sort of started to get a little bit better. And then I was in a wheelchair, but I didn't really go out in that. So I was in a wheelchair for a bit, and then sort of progressed onto some crutches that then once it got under your armpits.
Yeah.
Because obviously my arm was broken. But I mean, they put all metalwork in my arm and my leg, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And then. Spent a whole. I was sort of, I guess, getting on for. That would have been January the accident, so it wasn't until a year the following March when I started racing again.
Wow.
I mean, I started practicing a year or so later, but I worked really hard to get fit. Worked really hard to get fit, but that was a real tough time, mentally and mental health wise, and depression got really bad at times.
I bet it did.
Being able, I miss being with the boys more than anything, and being in the change rooms and being around the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I really found that hard, which I think most people are.
So basically you miss that buzz, don't you?
Yeah, I like that. I like to get in the change rooms, have a laugh with the boys. I still try and do it now, even though you sort of being the manager, you've got to keep a little bit of a manager rider friend relationship.
Yeah.
You've got to keep a little bit of a gap in there, but I try.
Did you ever
go in there and listen to their stories now? Not saying anything. Just listen to what the younger boys have been up to makes me smile now.
Exactly, I bet it does. But did you ever think you would ride again after that injury? Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up in hospital. When I got in, I was in and out of consciousness. Once I got onto the ward, I remember being on the ward
Yeah.
The first thing I did was try and lift my leg up, and then that was just little tiny things. Even like laid in bed, I'm going to keep trying to lift my leg.
Yeah.
So the most trying to just stop the muscle wasting away. That was my focus. And then
Mm.
when I got back, I had like the hospital. I used to go to the physio there, and they was really good. They had like a hydrotherapy pool.
Yeah.
Go and they used to take me, they lower you in the chair, so you can go in the water. And as soon as you're in the water, the water obviously supports you, so I could then start walking in there. And then went from I took on my own like personal therapist. I used to go and see her.
Yeah.
Like every week, and then she'd give me things to do. And the doctor, I used to do a lot of running. I've always liked running, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the doctor said I'd probably never be able to run on my leg again. And within 3 months, I'd run on a treadmill with her. And she had it on like a stuck because my leg's a little bit shorter on one side now than the rest of my other leg.
Yeah.
And set it up and went running, and then I felt like really good, really built it up, like the muscles around it. But I remember it like so clear now. Going for an X-ray, and I must have been able to drive by then.
Yeah.
Drove down, had an X-ray, and I could read. I've had a lot of broken bones and X-rays, so I could sort of read an X-ray. He put the X-ray up, and I thought, this is going to be really good. I'm going to get back this season.
Yeah.
And I looked the X-ray, and it weren't healed at all. The bone, it hadn't moved from when I had the last one, and just being absolutely gutted.
I bet you were.
I've been drinking aloe vera because they reckon that'd help, and doing anything to do that sort of, yeah. So it's a bit of a kick in the nuts, but it's one of them. And then I don't think, like, really, I mean, my little lad, he loves watching Speedway, and he watched the DVDs of me racing, and I watched.
Yeah.
He only ever had the ones on that were sort of post that accident, and I used to watch that thinking, I was never going to make it as a speedo rider. I don't know why I tried for so long, really. I didn't look right, and then I see a DVD from before that accident, and I looked at different riders. Now, looking at it now from, like, say, how I would look at a rider as a manager, just taking that as me, I can completely see two different riders there, and I don't think I ever really got over that as much as I thought I always would, and always tried to work hard to get over it. I don't think, like, maybe something in the back of my mind never quite got there, with it.
Yeah. I could tell, you're very passionate about it. You really wanted to do well, and of course you wanted to be a success at Speedway, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was all I wanted. Like, as from a child, that's all I ever wanted to do. So, like, when I did retire, due to my arm, like, when I retired, so how many years ago that was now? 5 years ago now, must be.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what do you do now? Like, that's not going to happen. I don't know. It's just kind of been lost. It was lost for a little while. Watching sort of. Yeah. I don't know what to do really.
So how did you get the call for the manager's job at Ipswich Witches? How did that all come about?
So I mean, I'd got to Ipswich, so I ended up getting to Ipswich in 2000 and 2000 and so I come back in 2009.
Yeah.
Broke my wrist really bad, and then 2010. Must have been 2010 because I've had a really good year in 2010.
Yeah.
And I started riding for Ipswich in 2010 as like a number 8 sort of thing. So we went next to people, and that was going good. And then we got relegated, if you like, that year, or dropped down a league at the end of that year.
Okay.
I'd already signed a deal with someone else, so I couldn't get to Ipswich, and then that didn't really work out. So a couple of years after that, actually, so that had been 2013.
Yeah.
Chris wanted to sign me at the start of the year to come to Ipswich to ride.
Okay.
And we couldn't do a deal, like, financially, and then whoever he signed didn't work out. So I mean, me and Chris always got on really well.
Yeah.
So he rang us up, and in the end, I actually joined the fire service then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so I said, this is what I'm doing, but I'll come and ride for you for a month.
Yeah.
I'll do you a month until you can find someone to to ride for him for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But really, I'm going to retire, and that's it. So that was 2013, and then I'm still at Ipswich now. So
Amazing, isn't it?
I went to a month, so yeah, I ended up doing 13, 14 captain,
Yeah.
15 captain till sort of halfway through the year when, you know, I haven't just it was done, you know.
Yeah.
Like I think like body give up before my mind, and I was still trying to ride.
Yeah.
And then come back the following year as team manager. Chris Rangus left in the winter. It's a little bit ironic because that last year I was at Ipswich, we had a new team manager come in, and he fell out, and it was quite public.
Right. Okay.
You know, it was kind of so I left and retired.
Yeah.
I had offers to come back. I mean, I had offers. Had a really good Glasgow. That's when the been taken over by the millionaires, putting loads of money in the club, and they give us a really good offer to go and ride for Glasgow. And I got another few offers, and I kind of said to them that I only rode for one at Ipswich because genuinely genuinely love the club. It means a lot to me, Ipswich Speedway, and you know, and I don't really want to ride for anyone else. I just wanted to ride for Ipswich. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
And so took a lot of thinking because I was only early 30s, so real young. By far the youngest team manager in sort of the professional leagues or whatever. So I had a good think about it. Spoke to some people, you know, I trust, and you know, they seemed like it'd be a good idea. Had a long chat with my dad about it because obviously he had done it.
Yeah.
And really, I was struggling with mental health. I was struggling with depression and knowing what to do now Speedway had finished, and it gave me a real a focus, something to focus on, something to do. And you know, I think within 2 or 3 months of taking over, we're at bottom of the league in the championship. Well, Ipswich is a big Speedway club, so we bottom of the second division. Terrible. So made some and that was, you know, we made some team changes and ended up making the playoffs and got to the playoff semi-final in the end. So, and then the following year, playoff final, and it's gone sort of it went well then. So that's you know, and I think like last year, first year back in the top league, and to make the playoff final last season, Ipswich, first time they've ever made since the playoffs were introduced, first time they've ever made the playoff final. And, massive achievement, and you know, it's just need to get that title now. But,
definitely.
Yes, definitely. I think we had a good shot this year, but it's kind of I take the manager's role really seriously for like what is a part-time role, and a lot of clubs, you know, it's a volunteer that does the job, or someone like you know, they maybe just come to the meetings and do it on the meeting or whatever, but I don't. It's kind of, you know, that's, you know, we take it as I would if I was riding. Really, it's very serious and try and make it.
You just want to make it your own, don't you? You just want to make the team your own, and of course you want to focus on the team doing well and the club, you know, even the club and the fans and everything else. You just want to have success, really, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think I made it as big as I could as a rider, or was it, you know, made mistakes and wasn't as successful as did as well as I probably should have done. So I want to put that right now with managing, really, and make sure, you know, other people don't make the mistakes I did, and look after people. And you know, I take joy in seeing other people do well if you've been there and helped them, and I want to see the boys do well and achieve personally, and obviously the club, because you know the supporters at Ipswich since the moment I did my first meeting there have been amazing to me. The staff, Chris has been brilliant. It's just everyone's always looked after me, and I wish you know, part of me, if I got the opportunity when I was younger and still able to do more with it, you know, maybe it'd been a different story, but you don't know, do you?
You just don't know. But you know, you've got a focus to, you know, now to do well for Ipswich, and you know, you never know what's going to come of it, do you?
No, No, we'll see. So hopefully we can get a title soon.
Exactly. I do wish you all the best for that one. But for one other, I've got one other question for you, really, Richie. It's about how I all started in like the non-league stuff. You know, I just went to a football game, and there wasn't really much going on about the social media side. So I started to take little videos, podcasts, and everything out, and all of a sudden, people started to follow the teams and getting more attendances. Do you think the social media side is a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
In lots of ways, it's brilliant. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so the year I started, that's when Henry come on board as well, who you spoke to.
Yeah.
And the job, because Speedway's so far behind, or has been, it's
Yeah.
trying to catch up now. Speedway's always been so far behind with this and things like this. And his input, because Ipswich we've got right up there, if not the best, of regular crowds,
Yes.
back-in sponsors for like a town.
Yeah.
Amazing. Still a Speedway town. Like, I live in just outside Peterborough, and people don't know much about the Speedway.
No.
You know, you don't see it anywhere. But like Ipswich is really well covered by the paper, the radio, and everything. And the social medias now. You know, I think we've had the best, or at least Glasgow's amazing. They've got so much funding for it. But along with Glasgow, it's going to be one of the top 2 best social media and stuff like that. Things Henry's done. I think that's made a massive difference to the club and keeping us up there. And even when we were struggling a couple of years ago with all the injuries, the crowd stayed there. Different promotion. I think it's massive. The part of, I'd put it, the bad thing about social media is obviously the abuse people can give without any repercussions or things you would never say to somebody normally. Yeah. You know, I think there's a fine line really, because I do, you know, like I've had as a manager or as a rider, and had a manager like say a few years ago we put terrible with people, and I got fans having a go at me, and like my wife doesn't come to speak about that much or know about it, but she heard it all and was quite like maybe a little bit upset about it. I was like, no, like that's kind of, they take time off work, drove there, spent their money to see us not perform. I'm gonna you come and say, you know, what you want to say, because I think you've got the right to that. But I think when it gets to, I've had it with riders and I've seen it where they're constantly like either barraged with it, or everything is turned back to be negative on that certain person or that certain subject, then it's gone too far. But there's also a responsibility for, like, I try and take the blame, to be honest. I'd rather you criticising me than the riders. Like, put it onto me, because I can take it and I'm, you know, thick skin to it. Because, you know, it is what it is. But there's a responsibility for them as well to ignore it, don't read it. Don't get too hyped up with your rave reviews when you're going well. Don't get too down with the criticism when if you're gonna, all the adulation when you're doing well and everyone bigging up, if you're gonna live off that, then the criticism will hit you as well. You know how well you're doing. You're going to be, as a rider, you will be your biggest critic. So there's kind of responsibility as well to that. But I have known an incident a few years ago when we had a rider, him having personal messages sent to him and things like that, which is just, you know, I think it's too far and a shame. So there's a fine line with it, but you've got to have the responsibility as well. If you don't read it or don't engage with it, if you get it and understand that really, you know, I get stick for different decisions I've made or different. I could justify every decision I've ever made and what I've done it for Ipswich. So, you know, sometimes it doesn't work. That's life, isn't it? Like, it's easy to sit back at the end of the day and say, well, if you haven't done that, then we'd have won, but you don't know that before it happens.
Exactly.
We can't see into the future. So, you know, I'm quite at peace with it all, and I don't mind taking criticism, I can see why, and I understand. I mean, like I'm a Peterborough United fan, and I used to have Peterborough United as a kid, and I still try and get to maybe I go like probably get to 4 or 5 games a year.
Yeah.
And as a kid, so, you moan or I don't know, you rush shouts to me. You don't think anything of it because you're not seeing the players as like human beings that you would meet them.
Exactly.
And maybe go, they're just a name. And that's what it's the same, similar thing really. And I don't think a lot of it is necessarily personal.
No.
It's, I don't know. It's a tough one, but overall, yeah. I mean, to engage with people on speedways on a massive level in sport where you can go and like meet your riders every meeting, meet the guys you're paying to go and watch. They'll come and speak to you and just stand and chat with you, and the vast majority will have as much time in the world for you, and photos. There's no ego really. So.
That's the beauty of social media, isn't it? That's all it's all about. It's all about positive feedback, and you want to do have your team do well as well, don't you? And of course, I know there's negative things. I've had negative things said about me, but you take it on the chin, and you just go for it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, we're just trying to do our best. Like no one's out there not trying to do their best. So I'm saying you want to make your podcast the best you can make it, and
exactly.
Same, so.
Exactly. Well, Richard, I thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. It's been great to talk to you.
No problem whatsoever. I didn't go on too much.
No, you were fine. It's all good. So I wish you all the best for next season. Hopefully, 2021 will get the kick off, and hopefully, you never know, I might pop down to Foxhall and see you in action.
Yeah, please do. Let us know.
Good. So for people who are listening to the podcast, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. But for now, bye for now.